Okay, going through 8.6, second last lesson that we'll be doing. Okay, solving logarithmic equations. Okay, so when you solve, when you get your answers, just make sure you check to see if there are any answers that don't belong. Okay, so look for inadmissible solutions. And remember that the argument and the base need to both be positive. Okay, so the argument here and the base here both have to be positive. Okay, so let's do the first one here. Okay, so let's simplify. Let's see what we could do. Okay, so how about we have an x on this side, so let's leave it on this side. We're going to move the log base 2 to the 5 onto the other side. Okay, so we're going to add log 2, 5 on both sides. So we get log 2, 30x equals log 2, 12 plus log 2, 5. Okay, so now we have the same base. The logs are the same base. So here what we're going to do is multiply 12 and 5 together. Because when we're adding, we bring together and we multiply. I probably could have just left it there. Yes, I could have. Let me rewind. I shouldn't do that. That makes things more difficult. What we're going to do here is divide here. So we have subtracting, we have logs base 2, they're the same base, so we're going to, since we're subtracting, we're going to divide these. So we get log base 2, 30x divided by 5 equals log 2, 12. Okay, so when we divide it, you get 6x, so log 2, 6x. And then now here, when we said if you have the same base, you could cross these off. They're on both sides. So we have 6x equals 12. And divide by 6, x equals 2. Okay, B. Some of these questions are overlapping, like we've done something like this before. Okay, so we're going to have x. So we're going to convert this into exponential form. So x to the power of negative a half to the power of 6. So now we have x to the power of 1/2 equals 6. Okay, so I'm going to show you a little trick here with this one. So x to the power 1/2 equals 6. Okay, so we have a negative exponent here, so it's kind of difficult to work with. If it was just a half, that's the same as square root. Okay, so it would be the same as square rooting. So if you want to get rid of the half, you would square it. Okay, but what we want to do is make this exponent to be 1. So we want to answer this as x equals something, so the exponent is 1 here. Okay, so what we're going to do is cancel out the exponent. So what can we do to the negative 1/2 to make it a 1? And what we could do is multiply this exponent by negative 2. Negative 2 times a negative half is 1. But whatever we do to one side, we must do to the other side. So this already has an exponent of 1. So we're going to multiply exponent by negative 2. So what happens is this crosses off, becomes a 1, and now we get 6 to the power of negative 2. Going back to grade 10 and 11, when we have a negative exponent, what that means is to do the reciprocal. Okay, so we have 6/1. The negative exponent tells you to flip it. So we have 1/6 to the power of 2. So we flip it, becomes becomes 1 over 6. Once you flip it, the exponent becomes positive. And now we can just solve it or evaluate it. 1 over 6 to the power 2, which is 1 over 36. Okay, so convert it, so we have x to the negative half. To cancel out the negative half, we multiply by negative 2, so we can make the exponent 1. So what we do to one side, we must do to the other side. So we multiply the exponent of the 6 to a negative 2 as well, and then we evaluate from there. Just to show you another way you could do it, which is a similar steps. So if it was just a half, which is the same as the square root, so we still have the negative in the exponent, but we have the square root sign. So what you do is square both sides. So you get x to negative 1 equals 36. And then again, the negative exponent tells you to do a reciprocal. So 1 over x equals 36. And then isolate for x here. So multiply by x onto the right side, you get 1 equals 36x. And then divide by 36, which is 1 over 36 equals x. This one's a little bit more difficult. Requires more steps. Okay, so again, it has a negative a half here. We turn the half into a root sign, keep the negative in the exponent. To get rid of the root sign, the square root sign, we square it. So this cancels out, so we have 6 squared, which is 36, but we still have the negative exponent. So the negative exponent, what you do is you do the reciprocal, so you flip it, it becomes 1 over x. So the exponent is now positive, it's a positive 1. Okay, now we isolate for x. Since we're dividing by x on this side, go to the other side and multiply it. So 1 equals 36x. And then isolate for x by dividing by 36 to get 1 over 36 equals x. Okay, moving on to the next couple. Okay, C. Okay, so again, same base, we have base 9. We're adding, so we're going to multiply these two brackets. So we get log 9 x minus 5 times x plus 3. Okay, so I'm actually going to multiply those brackets now. So I get x squared. Just going to put in brackets. Plus 3x minus 5x is negative 2x. Negative 5 plus or times 3 is negative 15. Okay, so we can't do, now we have a quadratic here. So let's see if we can convert this so that we can remove the log and see if we then isolate for x that way. So we're going to take the 9. So we get 9 to the power of 1 equals all of this. So we get 9 to the power of 1 equals x squared minus 2x minus 15. 9 to the power of 1 is 9. So 9 to the power of 1 is just 9. Okay, so since we have a quadratic, we want to move everything to one side. So we're going to subtract by 9. Okay, so now we have our trinomial with a square. So in order for us to solve for x now with a trinomial and x squared is we need to factor. So two numbers that multiply to negative 24 that add up to negative 2. So that would be negative 6 and positive 4. So therefore x would be positive 6 and negative 4. Going back to our question, we cannot have a negative base or argument. So which one of these makes a negative value? So if I plug in negative 4 into x here, I'll have a negative 9 answer, and it'll be also a negative 1 here. So we can't have negative 4, so our answer is just x equals 6. Does the plug 6 into each of them, I get positive answers. Okay, same thing here. Okay, next one. So log base 3, 2x minus 1 equals 2. We're going to convert it. So we get 3 to the power of 2 equals 2x minus 1. This one's pretty simple. 3 squared is 9. We're going to add 1. We get 10 equals 2x. And then divide by 2. Get the answer of 5. Okay, that one was pretty straightforward. Okay, we can solve this, we had to convert it. Okay, and lastly, so here I can't even make out that number. I think that's a 4. Actually, it's an x. That is an x there. So log base x. 64 equals 32. So let's convert this. Let's get the x out of this base. So we're going to convert it. X to the power of 3 over 2 equals 64. Okay, now using the same trick I just taught you. What can I do to this 3 over 2? What do I multiply this by to make it a 1? Okay, so to make this a 1, I would multiply by its reciprocal, which is 2 over 3. Because you get 6 over 6, which is 1. So whatever you do to one side, you do to the other side. So now we get 64 to the power of 2 over 3. Remember, this is your root. So that would be the third root of 64 to the power of 2. So I convert the exponent. You guys can probably just plug this into your calculator to give you the answer. But this becomes the third root of 64, and then this is the power of 2. That goes back to grade 11. So we end up getting 4 squared, which is 60. So again, convert it. We want to cancel out the numerator. You can do it in different steps. I'm going to show you the other way. Sorry, you don't cancel out the exponent. So what you do is just multiply by its reciprocal. And make sure it's a positive one. So 3 times 2 is 6. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 divided by 6 is 1. What you do to one side, you do to the other side. Okay? But say you forgot that or didn't see that. We're going to do it a different way. So we can convert the x 3 over 2 into the square root of x to the power of 3. Okay, this becomes your root, so the square root, and this is your exponent. So you can do it this way, and then do step by step to cancel, or I say for x. So to get rid of the square root, you square it. So we got 4,096, and now we cube root it to isolate for x. It should be the answer of 16. So let me get my calculator to confirm. Yeah, 16. Okay, so the work for this is page 491, 1 to 7, but for each of 1 to 7, you're doing A, C, and E. Okay, 12, 14, and 16. And our last lesson will be tomorrow.